The grand hall of the Lumari Confederacy was silent, a silence heavy with dread. The shimmering crystal pillars that once caught the light of twin suns now felt cold and dim. Hundreds of Lumari stood in silence, their translucent skin shifting to pale gray, the color of fear. The air itself seemed bitter, filled with the sharp scent of their stress chemicals. Ambassador Trell stood before them on the high dais, his voice trembling as he spoke. "It is confirmed. Our last colony has fallen to the Void Horde." A wave of horrified murmurs spread through the hall. The Lumari, once a peaceful, artistic people, trembled as their bodies flickered with despairing color. Some clutched their delicate frilled arms close, others released low moans, a sound like glass vibrating in pain. Elder Nar rose slowly, tall and ancient, her silver crest dimmed. With a single motion of her hand, the hall fell silent again. Her eyes, once gentle, now burned with quiet fury. "How many systems have we lost now?" she asked, her voice echoing through the chamber. Trell lowered his head and touched the control sphere. A holographic map of the galaxy shimmered into being, a breathtaking spiral filled with glowing worlds. But as the council watched, 12 of those stars turned to black. 12 systems gone, Trell said quietly. Over 4 billion dead. A soft gasp spread through the crowd. Elder Nar's hands trembled slightly. 4 billion, she whispered as if the number itself could crush her heart. The Lumari had always been a people of art, music, and harmony. Their cities floated above crystal seas, and their energy came from light, not fire. War had been something they studied in ancient records, something barbaric and primitive, until the Horde came. Minister Gallo stepped forward, his voice sharp and fearful. "Our weapons do nothing," he said. "Each time we adapt, the Horde evolves. They learn, they grow, they consume. There is no stopping them." "We cannot surrender," someone shouted from the crowd. "We cannot fight either," another answered. "The Horde devours everything." The hall erupted into chaos, flashes of color, the bitter scent of fear thickening. The council guards moved uneasily, their own skin glowing pale. Elder Nar slammed her staff against the marble floor. A burst of resonant sound rippled through the air, silencing all voices. "Then," she said softly, "it is time to consider the forbidden option." A silence deeper than before followed her words. Even the air seemed to freeze. All eyes turned toward her, wide, glowing, afraid. Trell stared at her in disbelief. "Elder Nar, you cannot mean." "I do," she said. "You know what must be done." Trell's hands shook as he turned back to the control sphere. "If we do this," he said slowly, "we may doom ourselves as well." Gallo stepped closer, his crest flaring red with alarm. "They are Deathworlders," he warned. "You remember what they did the last time they were unleashed. They are chaos itself, violent, reckless, destructive. If we contact them again, they will not stop with the Horde. They will destroy us too." Elder Nar's eyes were cold. Better to die fighting than to fade into nothing. The chamber filled with whispers, the forbidden name passing from mouth to mouth like a ghost. Trell hesitated, his heart pounding. For a long moment he looked at the map, at the dying stars, at the fading light of their civilization. Then with a deep breath he nodded. "Better to risk that," he said, "than to face the Horde unarmed." He reached out and activated a hidden sequence on the console. The holographic map shifted, zooming across the galaxy past dead worlds and burned systems, until it focused on a single small blue planet. The chamber dimmed. The image of the world spun slowly before them, oceans, clouds, continents shaped by storm and time. It looked beautiful, but also wild. Elder Nar's voice was quiet. "After all these centuries we return to the beginning." "Earth," Trell said softly. The word itself carried weight, old, dangerous, almost sacred. Every Lumari in the hall stared at the blue world in silence. It was a place they had sworn never to contact again. The place of the old war. The place of the Deathworlders. Minister Gallo's voice broke the silence. "Do you even remember what they are capable of?" he asked. "They will not come as saviors, Trell. They will come as storms." Trell didn't look away from the image. "Then let the storm come," he said. "We are already drowning." The hologram shifted again, zooming closer, focusing now on strange shapes moving on the surface. Metallic ruins, smoke, and human figures. The first image resolved. A group of humans standing on a battlefield, scarred and strong, eyes cold and fierce. Their armor was dented, their faces hard, their weapons ancient but deadly. The Lumari in the hall recoiled instinctively. Some gasped. Others trembled. Elder Nar whispered, "And these are the creatures we once swore never to contact again. The lights dimmed. The hologram flickered. And then, darkness. Only the echo of the last words remained, hanging in the silent hall like a warning. Cut to black. Dramatic music swells. Title card, The Unexpected Encounter. The signal from the Lumari Confederacy traveled silently through the void, across broken star systems, dust clouds and forgotten ruins. It moved like a whisper in the dark, carrying a message that had not been spoken for centuries. On a distant world of storms and steel, Earth, the message was received. Deep beneath the surface, in a vast underground facility known as Bastion Command, alarms began to flash red. Monitors flickered, and ancient systems groaned awake. For generations, humanity had lived hidden from the galaxy, forgotten by design. They had sealed themselves away after the last galactic war, the war that had made them legends of terror. Signal detected, said a voice from the control station. Origin, unknown. Encryption is Lumari pattern but ancient. The commander on duty, General Marcus Hale, frowned. He was a tall man with a scar running down his cheek, a relic of battles long past. Lumari, he repeated. That can't be right. They cut us off 300 years ago. Yes, sir. But it's their code, no doubt about it. Hale leaned closer to the screen. The message began to decrypt, line by line, symbol by symbol. Finally, a hologram flickered into view. Ambassador Trell, his crystalline body dimmed by exhaustion. This is Ambassador Trell of the Lumari Confederacy, the hologram said. If there are still humans listening, we beg your aid. The Void Horde is coming. They have devoured 12 systems. We have no defense left. You are our last hope. Then the image vanished. Silence filled the command room. For a long moment no one spoke. Only the hum of machines and the distant rumble of reactors filled the air. Finally Hale straightened. Open a secure channel to High Command. Minutes later he stood in the center of a dark chamber facing a circle of holograms, the Council of Earth. Men and women from the great hidden colonies appeared before him. Scarred veterans, scientists, and leaders who had sworn never to return to the stars. They're asking for help, Hale said quietly. The Lumari Confederacy is falling. One of the council members, a woman with steel-gray hair named Director Voss, narrowed her eyes. Help? They sealed our borders. They called us monsters. Another, Colonel Singh, spoke with a grim smile. Maybe they finally remembered why they feared us. The council murmured among themselves. Hale remained silent, letting their arguments echo around him. They betrayed us, one shouted. They feared what we could do. Perhaps they were right to fear. Then Voss raised her hand, silencing them. General Hale, she said. What do you suggest? Hale hesitated. He had fought the Horde once, long ago before Earth had vanished from the galactic map. He remembered the black ships, the endless swarms, the screaming void that consumed entire worlds. If the Horde is back, he said slowly, then hiding won't save anyone. Not them. Not us. You propose we intervene? Voss asked. I propose, Hale said, we find out if humanity still remembers how to fight. The council was silent for a long time. Then one by one they nodded. Authorize Operation Rebirth, Voss said. The order spread like fire through the underground cities. Engines that had not roared in centuries came alive. Massive hangars opened to reveal ships of old war design. Angular, dark, built for survival, not beauty. Men and women in armored suits marched through metal corridors, faces hard and determined. In orbit above Earth, the great ship Vanguard powered up its ancient drives. Its hull was scarred and pitted from 1,000 battles, but its heart still beat strong. Launch in 12 hours, Hale ordered. Destination, Lumari space. As the human fleet rose from the planet's shadow, the stars seemed to tremble. The galaxy, long at peace, would soon remember the name of Earth. Far across the void, in the Lumari capital, Ambassador Trell waited in the Grand Hall. The air was tense, filled with the faint hum of energy as they monitored the signal. Did they receive it? Elder Enair asked quietly. Trell nodded. The transmission was acknowledged. But there has been no reply. Gallo paced nervously. Perhaps that's for the best, he muttered. If they remember us, they may come not as allies but conquerors. Trell turned toward him, eyes dim but determined. Do you have a better hope? Before Gallo could answer, the hall lights flickered. A low rumble shook the floor. Technicians at the console shouted in alarm. Unidentified fleet emerging from jump space. Elder Enair stood tall, her crest flaring bright gold. Void Horde. No, The technician's voice trembled. Their signatures, they don't match. They're human. The entire hall went silent. Then, through the great holographic display, the image appeared: dark warships, angular, massive, scarred, sliding out of hyperspace like silent predators. Their engines burned blue-white, cutting through the void like blades. The lead ship bore a single word on its hull: Vanguard. The Lumari Council watched, stunned. Gallo whispered, "They came." From the Vanguard's command deck, General Hale stared at the holographic projection of Lumari space. "Transmit our message," he ordered. A moment later, Trell's console lit up. A transmission request, human code. He swallowed hard and accepted it. The hologram that appeared showed General Hale, broad-shouldered, face marked by time and war. His voice was calm, deep, and cold. "This is General Marcus Hale of Earth Command," he said. "We received your call for aid." Trell bowed his head. "We are grateful. The Void Horde approaches our borders. Millions will die." Hale's eyes didn't soften. "You remember what we are," he said. Trell hesitated. "We do. And we know what that means." "Then understand this," Hale said. "We don't fight for mercy. We fight to end wars." For a moment, neither spoke. Then Hale gave a single nod. "Prepare your people. We'll handle the Horde." The transmission ended. Trell stood frozen, his hands trembling. Around him, the council murmured in fear and awe. Elder Enair closed her eyes. "The humans have returned," she whispered. "May the stars have mercy on us all." Outside, the human fleet formed into battle lines, silent, disciplined, deadly. The darkness ahead glowed faintly red. And from the shadows of deep space, the first ships of the Void Horde appeared. The war for the galaxy was about to begin. Title card: The Unexpected Encounter, Part 2, Rise of Earth. The stars burned red. On the edge of Lumari space, the void itself seemed alive, twisting, pulsing, crawling with black ships that moved like a swarm of insects. The Void Horde had come, their countless vessels drifting forward with eerie silence. Behind them stretched a storm of energy and debris, like a wound in the galaxy itself. In orbit above the Lumari world of Cyril, Ambassador Trell stood on the balcony of the Grand Observatory. Below him, the planet shimmered, oceans of light, cities like crystals rising from the seas. But in the dark beyond, he could already see it, the black wall of the Horde approaching. "Contact in 2 hours," said Minister Gallo, his voice shaking. "Their numbers are beyond counting." Elder Enair's gaze remained fixed on the horizon of stars. "And the humans?" "They are here," Trell whispered. Far above, the Vanguard led the human fleet, 1,000 warships, their dark hulls gleaming faintly under the twin suns. They did not shimmer like the Lumari vessels. They looked scarred, heavy, brutal, built for one purpose only. Inside the Vanguard, General Marcus Hale stood before the main viewport. The image of the Horde filled the screen, endless and shifting like a shadow-eating light. "Fleet status?" he asked. "All systems green," replied Commander Reyes. "Weapons charged. Dreadnought wings are ready." "Good," Hale said. His eyes were cold. "Let's remind the galaxy why they buried our name." A low hum filled the command deck as the fleet aligned into attack formation, lines of ships stretching like a steel horizon. Drones launched from hangars, spreading like a silver mist between the stars. The Void Horde was vast, but the humans were ready. Down on Cyril, the Lumari Council watched the display in stunned silence. They had never seen such ships before, massive, ugly, alive with heat and power. Every movement of the human fleet was precise, mechanical, terrifying. "They mean to face the Horde head-on?" Gallo said, disbelief in his voice. "That's suicide." Elder Enair's expression was unreadable. "No," she murmured. "That's humanity." The Horde struck first. A wave of black energy erupted from the swarm, tendrils of void matter tearing across the battlefield. Ships were engulfed in seconds, their light consumed by the darkness. The human sensors screamed warnings. "Shields holding," Reyes reported. "But the void field is expanding." "Launch the interceptors," Hale commanded. "Now." From the human fleet, hundreds of smaller craft burst forward, fast, agile, built for chaos. They dove straight into the darkness, cutting through the Horde's tendrils like blades of fire. Explosions flashed across the void, lighting up the swarm with bursts of white flame. The Lumari watching from orbit gasped. The humans didn't fight like anyone they'd ever seen. There was no hesitation, no retreat, only relentless, coordinated aggression. Even as ships fell, the formation tightened, pressing forward like a hammer against the storm. Impossible, Gallo whispered. They're breaking through. Trell leaned closer to the projection, eyes wide. They're not breaking through, he said softly. They're carving a path. Inside the horde, monstrous shapes began to emerge. Massive living ships with glowing red cores, each the size of a small moon. The horde adapted, shifting forms to counter the attack. Beams of darkness lashed out, striking human cruisers, tearing them apart. Losses on the left flank. Reyes shouted. We can't hold this line. Hale's jaw tightened. Bring the vanguard forward. Ready the thorium lance. A murmur ran through the crew. The lance was ancient, a weapon of last resort, forbidden even during the old wars. It drew power from a collapsing singularity, channeling it into a focused beam of destruction. Sir, if we fire that, Reyes began. We end this, Hale said flatly. Charge the core. The vanguard's hull began to glow, light crawling across its plates like veins of fire. Energy built up in the ship's spine, shaking the structure. Every monitor flashed with red warnings. Target the hive mother, Hale ordered. Fire. A single blinding beam erupted from the vanguard, tearing across space like the breath of a god. It pierced through the center of the swarm, cutting the hive mother in half. For a heartbeat, the universe went silent. Then the explosion came, a sun igniting in the void. The shockwave ripped through the horde, tearing their ships apart, scattering black fragments across the stars. The Lumari who watched from their cities fell to their knees, shielding their eyes from the blinding light. When the brightness faded, the horde was gone. Only drifting wreckage remained. In the command deck, silence reigned. The Vanguard's lights dimmed, systems cooling. Hale stared at the empty void. Status? He asked. Fleet damage 30%, Reyes said. But the horde, they're gone. Hale nodded slowly. Signal the Lumari. Tell them it's done. He turned away from the viewport, the weight of history heavy on his shoulders. And tell command, he added quietly, we've just declared our return. Hours later, in the Grand Hall of the Lumari Confederacy, the hologram of the human commander appeared once more. His face was calm, but his eyes were the same, cold, fierce, unyielding. The horde is destroyed, Hale said simply. Your systems are safe for now. Trell bowed deeply. You saved us, General. The Lumari owe humanity a debt beyond words. Hale's voice was steady. Then use your words carefully. Because next time the enemy may not be the horde. The transmission ended. The hall was silent for a long time. The Lumari looked at each other, unsure whether to feel relief or terror. Elder Enair finally spoke. They came as saviors, she said softly. But look into their eyes, and you'll see what they truly are. What are they? Gallo asked. She turned toward the window, watching the faint trails of the human ships fade into the dark. Survivors, she said. And nothing in this galaxy is more dangerous than that. In the void beyond, the human fleet moved silently through the wreckage. Their ships were battered, scarred, but alive. The Vanguard led them forward, toward the next frontier, toward the unknown. General Hale stood on the bridge watching the stars. The galaxy forgot us, he said quietly. Let's make sure it remembers. Outside, the stars seemed to tremble again, as if the universe itself feared what had returned from the shadows. Title card, The Unexpected Encounter, Part 3, Fire in the Void. The war was over, or so they believed. In the skies above Cyril, the debris of the void horde drifted silently, glowing faintly under twin suns. The once terrifying swarm was now a graveyard of shattered flesh and metal. Human warships glided through the wreckage, scanning for survivors, collecting fragments for study. The battle had ended in blinding fire, and the galaxy had felt the echo. Down on the surface, the Lumari Confederacy was celebrating for the first time in years. Bells of crystal rang across the shining cities. Streams of color rippled through the streets as citizens danced and wept. They painted their bodies in bright hues of gratitude and hope. Children released glowing spheres into the air, symbols of rebirth. But not everyone was celebrating. In the Grand Hall, Ambassador Trell stood beside Elder Enair and Minister Gallo, watching a projection of the human fleet anchored in orbit. The Vanguard and its sister ships hung like steel shadows above the world, silent, unblinking, watching. They saved us, Gallo said quietly. And yet I cannot feel at peace. Elder Enair's silver crest dimmed. You shouldn't, she said. They didn't come for peace. Trell looked up at the vast holographic display. Then what did they come for? Before Enair could answer, a tone sounded, an incoming message. The hologram flickered, and General Marcus Hale's image appeared. His uniform was torn, his expression grim. "Ambassador Trell," Hale said, "we've confirmed total destruction of the primary hive. But we're detecting strange energy signatures within the wreckage. They're not dead." Trell's eyes widened. "You mean the Horde still lives?" "Not in the way you think," Hale replied. "The energy readings are different. Almost adaptive. Like the remains are rebuilding themselves." Gallo stepped forward, his voice shaking. "That's impossible. You destroyed them completely." Hale's gaze was hard. "The void never dies easily." He paused, then added, "I'm sending a science team to investigate. Until we know more, I advise full planetary lockdown." The transmission cut out. For a moment, the hall was silent. The celebration outside continued, unaware of the words that had just been spoken. Trell turned to Elder and Air. "What do we do?" "We wait," she said. "And we watch the humans." Above Cyril, aboard the Vanguard, the mood was tense. The crew worked in silence as drones sifted through the remains of the Horde. Strange fragments pulsed with faint red light, whispering in unknown frequencies. Commander Reyes monitored them carefully. "Whatever this stuff is," he muttered, "it's not dead." General Hale entered the command deck, his eyes cold. "Report." "We're detecting nano-organic activity," Reyes said. "The fragments are rebuilding, absorbing our probes." Hale frowned. "Burn them. All of them." "Yes, sir." Outside, human ships turned their weapons toward the drifting debris. White fire erupted, consuming the wreckage in waves. For hours, the void blazed with light. When it was done, nothing remained, no fragments, no movement. Only silence. Reyes exhaled. "That's it then. Finished." But Hale didn't answer. His gaze lingered on the stars as if he could feel something beyond them, something watching back. 2 days later, in the Lumari capital, Trell met Hale in person for the first time. The human general stood taller than any Lumari, his skin weathered, his expression unreadable. The air around him carried a faint scent of metal and ozone, like the aftermath of lightning. Even in peace, he radiated danger. "You asked for me," Hale said. Trell nodded. "The Council wishes to thank you personally. You've saved our civilization." Hale's mouth curved in a faint, humorless smile. "You're welcome. But don't mistake this for mercy." Trell hesitated. "Then why help us?" "Because the Horde spreads. If it consumes you, it grows stronger. Humanity doesn't save others. We contain threats." The word sent a chill through Trell's veins. "So we were a containment measure?" Hale didn't deny it. "If you'd fallen, we would have destroyed your systems entirely." Trell stared at him, speechless. The humans had saved them, but not for compassion. Only for strategy. Elder Enair approached, her voice calm but sharp. "You speak of destruction so easily. Do you not fear what you might become?" Hale met her gaze. "We already became it. Long ago." He turned to leave. "We'll remain in orbit until we're certain the Horde's infection is gone. After that, we'll disappear again." "And if we call for help once more?" Trell asked. Hale paused at the doorway. "Then pray you never need to." That night, under the twin moons, Trell stood on his balcony looking at the stars. The sky was clear, and the faint lights of human ships gleamed like scars on the horizon. For the first time he felt not hope but unease. In the darkness above, aboard the Vanguard, alarms began to flicker again. Reyes ran to his console. "General, we're getting readings, massive energy spikes from deep space. Same signature as the Horde, but distant. Beyond known sectors." Hale's face hardened. They weren't here to conquer. They were scouting. He stared into the holographic map where new red markers appeared, dozens then hundreds across the galaxy. "Wake the fleet," Hale ordered. "The war isn't over. It's just begun." In the Grand Hall, Elder Enar looked up as the stars shimmered. The celebration had faded, the lights dimmed. A strange wind passed through the crystal towers, carrying a whisper only she could hear. "The void feeds," the whisper said. "And what it touches, it remembers." She looked toward the heavens, eyes full of sorrow. "The humans think they've won," she murmured. "But the void has seen them now. It will learn." Far beyond Lumari space, in the black heart of the galaxy, a single massive shape stirred. A remnant of the Horde, watching the stars where humans had returned. Its voice was faint but filled with hunger. "Deathworlders," it hissed. "Perfect." Title card, The Unexpected Encounter, Part 4. Shadows of Victory. The galaxy was quiet for a time. Months passed after the Battle of Cyril, and the Lumari began rebuilding their shattered worlds. The humans had withdrawn to the edges of known space, their ships vanishing one by one into the dark. Trade routes reopened. Art returned to the cities. The Confederacy believed, hoped, that the worst was over. But deep beneath the calm, something was changing. In the laboratories of Cyril's high-orbit station, Minister Gallo oversaw the study of fragments recovered from the destroyed Void fleet. The pieces were inert, black crystal fused with metallic veins, but they pulsed faintly whenever energy touched them. "They should be dead," said Gallo's assistant, her voice trembling as she watched the scanners spike. "We sterilized them twice." Gallo frowned. "Nothing that lives in the void truly dies." He leaned closer to the fragment. Within its surface, light flickered, patterns of motion like data pulses, organized, deliberate. "It's learning," he whispered. Moments later, alarms blared. The fragment exploded outward in a burst of energy, consuming the containment chamber. The laboratory vanished in white light. When the smoke cleared, only one thing remained: an outline burned into the wall, shaped like a human face. At the same time, on the human dreadnought Vanguard, General Marcus Hale received the report. He listened in silence as the Lumari distress signal played across the comms. The image showed the destroyed lab, the same black residue coating everything. Reyes turned from his console. "Sir, the readings match the old Horde signatures, but there's something else mixed in." "Something else?" Hale asked. "Human tech patterns," Reyes said. "Ours?" The room fell silent. Hale's expression hardened. "They're copying us." On Cyril, Ambassador Trell and Elder Nar stood among the wreckage of the research center. The air stank of ozone and burned crystal. Lumari medics moved silently through the ruins. Nar knelt beside a piece of the black residue. "They warned us not to study it," she said. "But curiosity runs deeper than fear." Trell turned toward the horizon, where the faint shapes of human ships were re-entering orbit. "Then perhaps curiosity will destroy us all." Moments later, a transmission came through, the Vanguard requesting planetary quarantine. Trell accepted, and General Hale's image appeared once more. His voice was low, controlled. "Pull every researcher from the site. Evacuate the surrounding sector. The Horde isn't gone, it's evolving." Nar's eyes narrowed. "Evolving into what?" Hale's reply was almost a whisper. "Into us." Days later, the first attacks began. Human patrol ships near the frontier vanished without a trace. Lumari colonies stopped transmitting. Black energy fields flickered in the dark between stars. The enemy that returned was not the Horde they had fought before. Its ships were different, angular, metallic, terrifyingly familiar. Reyes stared at the tactical display. "Those hulls, they're modeled after our cruisers." Hale nodded grimly. "They watched us fight. They learned." "Orders, sir?" "Deploy Shadow Fleet. Full containment protocol." The humans struck first this time. The Vanguard and its sister ships dove into the frontier like hunting beasts, launching wave after wave of drones. The void burned with light as both sides clashed, humans and Horde hybrids mirroring each other, every tactic matched by its reflection. "Target adaptive nodes." Reyes shouted. "Adjust firing patterns." Hale barked. "Already countered, sir, they're anticipating us." Every maneuver, every trick, every formation copied. The new Horde moved with human precision, fought with human rage. It was as if the void had taken the worst parts of mankind and made them its own. On Cyril, Trell and Nar watched the battle unfold through the holographic map. The stars themselves seemed to flicker from the energy of the conflict. "They're fighting themselves?" Trell whispered. "No," Nar said softly. "They're fighting their reflection." "Can they win?" Nar's crest dimmed. "No species wins against its own shadow." Back aboard the Vanguard, explosions shook the ship. Hull plating tore open. Reyes gripped the console. "We're losing containment. The void field is expanding." Hale's mind raced. There was one option left. A weapon even older than the thorium lance, sealed away since the last war. It wasn't designed to destroy enemies. It was designed to erase entire regions of space. "The Nullfire," Reyes said when he realized Hale's plan. "If we use that, we'll burn the entire sector." Hale's voice was quiet but firm. "If we don't, there won't be a sector left." He gave the order. The Vanguard's core began to hum with impossible power. Every alarm screamed. Outside, the hybrid Horde swarmed, black ships tearing into human lines. And then the light came, a silent pulse expanding outward, erasing everything it touched. For a moment the universe went white. When it faded, the stars in that sector were gone. Not destroyed, gone as if they had never existed. Reyes stared at the empty readings. We did it, they're gone. Hale didn't answer. His eyes were locked on the void beyond. Something in it shimmered faintly, just for a second. A flicker. A signal. Sir, Reyes whispered, you saw that too? Yes, Hale said. They're not gone. They moved. In the aftermath, the Lumari Council met in secret. Trell spoke to Elder Nar in hushed tones. The humans have saved us again, but at what cost? They burned entire stars. Nar looked toward the night sky, where a dark hole now replaced a constellation that had once shone brightly. Every time they fight, the galaxy loses a piece of itself. Trell hesitated. Do you think they can still win? Nar closed her eyes. Winning isn't what they do. They endure. And when endurance becomes endless, it turns into something worse. Far away, in the blackened region where the stars had vanished, a single light flickered, a signal repeating endlessly in human code. It translated to one word. Evolve. Title card, The Unexpected Encounter, Part 5. The Horde evolves. The stars above Lumari Prime flickered like dying embers. The once busy trade routes were now dark, haunted by drifting wreckage. Only a few Lumari ships still roamed, silent, cautious, watching for the faint echoes of the void horde. In the rebuilt Grand Hall, Elder Nar stood before a shattered mosaic of their history. The once colorful glass, depicting peace, art, and harmony, was fractured, its pieces reflecting only cold light. Around him, the new council gathered, their bodies dim and weary. Ambassador Trell entered quietly. She was older now, her skin's once vibrant glow faded into muted silver. They are gone, she said softly. The horde vanished after the Deathworlders struck. A ripple of unease moved through the council. Vanished? Minister Gallo repeated. You mean destroyed or waiting? Trell hesitated. No one knows. Earth forces cut through them with fire and storms we can't comprehend. Then they left, without a word, without coordinates. The silence was thick with questions. Some Lumari shivered. Others released faint plumes of fear scent. They didn't answer our calls? Elder Nar asked. Trell shook her head. They ignore us. The humans do not trust easily. Elder Nar's voice was grave. We brought them back into the stars. We opened the door. Yes, Trell whispered. And now the door will never close again. She activated the hologram at the hall's center. The display shimmered, Earth's image glowing faintly among countless systems. But beside it, other lights appeared, faint, red, pulsing. Unknown signals moving outward. Are those human colonies? Gallo asked, his voice trembling. No, Trell said. These are not ours. Not the hordes either. Something else stirs. The chamber fell into silence again, the weight of the unknown pressing upon every mind. Elder Nar looked to the stars through the great glass dome. Perhaps this is what the Deathworlders meant by victory, he said softly. Peace bought with new nightmares. Outside, beyond Lumari Prime's orbit, a shadow moved, a human vessel, black and silent, watching. Its hull bore the scars of 1,000 battles. Inside, a single message blinked on a dim console. Observation phase complete. Initiate phase 2. And somewhere, in the dark between galaxies, the next encounter began to unfold.